So this actually works fine because they seem pretty satisfied with this switch group. Group 2 will go here and work the finish line tabletop. Group 1 can go with you and work the back over there. The 2 tables.
You always go
all the way up here. Unbelievable. So both of these jumps, I imagine, are going to be soak up / scrub obstacles. The way I describe jumping, guys, is there's 2 ways to hit a jump. You have soaking up and scrubbing, you have preloading and seat bouncing. Most of the jumps that you encounter on an outdoor track are going to be soak up and scrub jumps, meaning you get the speed well ahead of time, and it's just like riding a BMX bike and just letting the bike come to you and pushing through the obstacle. It's quite a basic technique. The good news is as well, it's the same technique that you would use to jump this far as it is to jump 150 feet. Nothing changes other than speed gained ahead of time. So what we want to do is get in the habit of gaining more than enough speed ahead of time, being in a nice tall gear. The taller gear you're in, the more it will free that bike up to really work well underneath you, and the lower RPM you can be, which is only going to be more safe. If we're screaming that bike high RPM, low gear, the suspension and chassis is going to be bound up and want to kind of toss you off. And also, any little movement of that throttle, you're just going to have too much torque, right? If we can be in 4th instead of 3rd and really just carry that speed nice and smooth, that's what we want. When we get to the bottom of the jump phase, nice and tall with the attack position, you're almost aiming to go full lockout with the knees. Head as far forward as you can get it. And then when you press the top, so as soon as your front tire goes airborne, you're just letting that entire bike come up to you. It's the same exact movement that you use on a pump track, on a BMX bike, or on a mountain bike. You're just letting that bike work vertically underneath you. Smooth throttle all the way off. The common mistakes that I see would be riders coming in with lack of commitment because they're afraid to enter with speed, and then they rely on that last second blip of the throttle. And that last second blip of the throttle is always what causes that bike to endo, loop out, kick sideways, whatever it is. I know it's scary, but if we approach with speed and just maintain that speed, the chance of that bike getting a crazy kick is so little. And if we just maintain position with head forward, hips unlocked, if the bike does need freedom to kick a little bit under you, you can allow it to do so. The guys that really resist, extend the arms out, lock the hips, push the bike away from them, and try to compensate for that kick that's happening, you're gonna get kicked with the bike if you're stuck along for the ride. So just allow that bike freedom by keeping the head forward, keeping the knees tight, keeping the hips loose. All of those things are scary to do, and it takes building confidence to be able to maintain that position while going faster and faster. So the biggest thing is learning how to progress on jumps in a safe way. And what that looks like is taking a jump that you feel like you could almost hit blindfolded and do it 1,000 times over and over and over, to the point where you feel as though you couldn't mess it up if you were to try. Then go 1 notch above that to a jump that is maybe a little closer to the edge of your comfort zone, and hit it 1,000 times. And then find the next jump. That same thing. It's safe if you go long, safe if you go short. Hit it 1,000 times. We need to progress safe. What I see, and I know that's obvious, but what I see so often is the rider that clears that 40-foot tabletop, they jump it 3 times and they go, sweet, all right, we're taking to the 65-foot triple. What? Hang on a second. And then they case the triple, break the wrist, and they're right back to square one with the confidence. So really try your best to just recognize where your skill level is currently at and pick the jumps that are the safest. Or if you go 15, 20 feet long, you're fine. If you case it by 15, 20 feet, you're fine. Don't pick that big double with a landing that looks like a takeoff to build your confidence. Right? If there's anything specific you guys want to learn today, make sure you're asking when it comes to jumping. So brake tapping, pulling that clutch in, making sure we can adjust that bike with brake tapping. If there's anything specific, just ask. What was your question?
Just kind of what you're saying.
Brake tapping? Brake tapping is definitely a skill that everybody here should learn eventually. It's not something you want to get in the habit of doing off of every jump for no reason, right? But especially in Supercross, because we're in the air more than we're not, brake tapping is something that you need to know how to do. Make that adjustment at the height of your jump, because if you brake brake tap too early, you don't really know where you're going to land yet. You don't know what pitch that bike's going to be at yet. So wait till you're at the height of your jump, then you pull that clutch in, tap that rear brake, and we can get that bike leveled out that way. Just tap the rear brake in the air without the clutch in. I learned that the hard way. No, you were good. Yeah, question.
Do you ever feel like there's a wrong time to brake tap, like where you know you keep taking it goes first?
Yep.
Like you ever think there'll be a wrong time?
That's a good time to brake tap. So if I were to case something, I'm usually going to pull that clutch in and brake tap because I want to case it front tire first by a little bit. A wrong time to brake tap would be like if you're already leveled out or you're already nose low and then you're brake tapping in that situation for no reason. That wouldn't make sense. Maybe if you're going to overshoot something to the flat, brake tap probably wouldn't make sense in that situation because if you're overshooting something to the flat, you actually want to land the back tire first. When you case an obstacle, so if we were hitting the finish line, for example, and you were to go case the edge of that, so jump at 3/4, you'd actually want to land front tire first just by a little bit. What that'll do is that'll push the bike through the landing instead of causing like a ricochet and catapult effect, where if you landed back tire first, ever so slightly, it's going to compress just the rear and it's going to want to toss you over the front. And I know that's a scary thing to do. Most people, when they're like, oh crap, I'm going to case it, they extend the arms, they lean back, and they just start lofting the front like this. That's actually the most dangerous thing you can do. When you land, make sure that you have strong legs when you land. I know I mentioned it to a couple people already today. We need to keep the knees on top of the foot peg. So our absorption should be done with our butt dropping, not by allowing the knees to cave forward and blow through the front. That's going to make it look like you're coming down from a 10-story building. Strong legs, tight knees. You don't need to go through that much of your body's suspension stroke. Let the bike do the work. Landing on the throttle will smooth it out. You don't have to land wide open, but a little bit of throttle is definitely going to help just kind of carry you out with momentum so that you know, again, don't feel like you're just slapping down harsh for no reason. Reminder, it's the same technique to jump 2 feet as it is to jump 100 and something feet. So do not feel pressure to jump any significant distance in these drills. I am just more focused, and James is more focused on smooth throttle control coming up and maintaining just the correct position throughout. For those of you that are already comfortable doing the jumps that we're working, so Coach James, you're going to be there with the group 1 guys now, so if you need to be working scrubbing with any of the guys, you can start talking about scrubbing a little bit, right? The steps of progression would just be hitting it with smooth throttle. Step 2 of progression is soaking it up vertically as much as you can. And then step 3 would be actually deflecting the rebound of the bike horizontally and scrubbing. Any questions at all? Yeah. Nope, same groups that we just did. So you're going to now go with James over on the back section. Everybody that was just with James, you guys are going to go with me to the finish line section. Any questions in relation to jumps before we split up? Okay. Group 1. All right, real quick, make sure you guys remember this. When I pull you off, I highly recommend you guys do one more full loop, because I don't want people to get all bound up and kind of like stopping and trying to swerve off the track right here after a jump, high speed going into a corner. If I have my hand up like this, ready to pull you off, execute the jump one more time, hit the loop nice and slow, and then you can pull off in the water truck lane your next lap coming around through here. I'm going to demonstrate a couple times through. One big thing, if you're trying to gain confidence jumping, we have to get straight for the jump. This jump here, you don't want to take the inside if you're trying to get straight. Go outside, get set up nice and straight for it if you need to, right? I'm going to show you guys a couple different steps of progression. Is there anybody here that doesn't jump this to the downside but wants to jump it to the downside? Is that why you stayed in this group? You want to work on that thing? Probably smart. Who's this? You're 71. You're raising your hand. You want to jump it to the downside?
Yeah.
Not ready to yet. Unless you're the fastest 50 rider of all time. And I don't know. Who else? Ready to jump it, you think? Possibly? Yes, yes, yes. It's important that, first of all, like I just explained over there, recognize where you're at and know if you're capable of doing it or not, and then decide yes or no. A no is fine. I'm completely okay with a no, by the way. What I'm not okay with is when I ask, hey, are you ready? who's ready to do this jump? A lot of times I get, maybe. The maybe is what gets people hurt, right? Because that's the guy that comes up and kind of like halfway commits and then last second decides to shut off, or comes in really slow and the last second gets on the gas. That's how you get hurt. Jumping is all about commitment, but you don't want to just overshoot your skill level. I'm going to demonstrate every single step of progression from jumping at 2 feet. I'm going to jump it halfway. I'm going to case it. I'll jump it the full distance, and then I'll show you guys what kind of like a little bit of a scrub looks like. Any questions right off the bat? I'm going to try and do it on a Honda just because I'm taking racing a bit more seriously this year, so I'm trying to keep familiar with the red bikes. Any questions? Thank you. Is this safe? Everything's checked? Okay, good. Alright. Clutch is so tight. Make sure you always have play in this clutch or you're gonna fry it. You should always have like a, I don't know, a nickel or a dime worth. That's a lot of play in the throttle. So you want to run a little less play in the throttle so it just turns a little quicker. So as I wanted to jump further and go faster, where was I gaining my speed? Did anybody notice?
Corner.
In the corner and the exit of the corner. Nothing really changed on the jump face except for that last one where I tried to just pitch it sideways. Just because in those situations you're actually trying to deflect the rebound of the bike that way instead of up, which probably nobody in this group is needing to be doing that right now. Keep the bike nice and straight. Keep it simple. Notice how the one that I jumped 3/4, how soft that landing looked. And in front tire first, almost looks stiff, right? With my legs, I just stayed nice and strong and I let the bike soak it up. Another thing I want you guys to practice so that we don't forget about corners is that track cut. The right hand rut is sweet right now. Practice that track cut in that rut, keeping both feet on. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on you guys way down there, even though we're doing this jumping drill. Let's not forget about the cornering. Feet on, stand into that inside rut, keep the inside foot tight so it doesn't get ripped off the peg. Inside foot on here is super easy, and the same thing with after it. Any questions at all? This being a tabletop, it is safer. Who again hasn't jumped it but wants to? 1, 2, uh-oh. We got the iffy.
Yeah, I'm that guy.
Cool, sweet. It is always safer, not always, almost always safer on a tabletop to go short as opposed to go long. Just that thing to the flat. Jump it halfway, jump it 3/4, and then a little bit more will get you to that downside. All right. You guys have your group splits?
1, 2, yes.
Okay. 723, you can go with the group 1 guys. Who's group 1? Anybody that's planning on jumping this to the downside, make sure that you go out with the group 1 guys. Sound good? All right. Let's see it. tires at the same time, which made it look like a horrible landing. Always front tire first or back tire first. This jump I'd land front tire first just a little bit. The second to last one that you did was actually...
I was a little more throttled that time.
Yeah, I thought the second to last one was great.
Sorry, I'm winded.
99's doing a good job. He's confident enough to stay pretty loose. Keeping the head forward, which was nice. White bike's doing a pretty good job of it. Nice and smooth. Strong legs when he lands. You had one that was like 3 or 4 jumps ago where you were really stiff on the takeoff, and that made the bike react quite a bit.
Yeah, I came out and I was a little sideways coming out of the turn.
He's relying on too much last second throttle.
Yeah.
Which, that scares me a little bit, right? You should be trying to get that ramp up of throttle here as opposed to way up there. Too much throttle right at the top. On that footwork. Really pay attention to where your feet are on those foot pegs. Your toes are pointed straight out. Everybody else in that group that was just out there, we need to rely on 99 was probably doing it the best. You were doing a decent job of it. We need to rely on corner speed at the exit of the corner to get the speed before we get to the jump. Everybody else almost was waiting until we get to the jump face to then increase RPMs. We shouldn't be increasing RPMs on that jump face. We should be decreasing RPMs. We should actually be rolling off the throttle as we go up that jump face. Not the other way around. Everybody's going so darn slow around the corner and then going slow down the straightaway before it, and then and giving it more gas at the top. That's always going to send the bike in unpredictable directions. Be willing to mess the corner up. If you fully commit to the turn and the exit of the turn and you mess up, guess what? You still have 150 feet to go until that jump where you can uncommit at any point. Don't save that commitment until last second, so then if you do mess up, you're already halfway in the air, then you're screwed, right? Think about what we do in Supercross. We're not rolling that corner cautiously and slow and then waiting to the triple jump face to commit. We're railing that turn with everything we have, or exiting with everything we have, and if we have to make a last second decision to shut it down because something went wrong, that's what we do. Everybody was tiptoeing around this section here and then saving it for the last second. Always, that's what's going to make the bike shoot funny. And we need to maybe try riding in a taller gear. So on the 450, are you in second or third? Third's good. Are you in second or third?
Also second, but I go third.
Okay. I would almost want you to try fourth. On the Honda number 14, try fourth. I was in fourth on your bike and it seemed just about perfect. That taller gear will make the bike less reactive on that jump face, which you guys will be appreciative of when you get to that point. Have you not jumped it yet?
This way I have, like coming back the other way.
Because you look super loose, which is great. You're ready. Next set, make sure there's nobody in
I
front
was
of you.
gonna say, I'm 3 quarters. I just need to commit that last quarter. And it's just this straightaway out of it. I think I'm gonna try the inside kind of squared off.
I know I gave you guys the outside advice, but after watching you hit the outside, I don't think it's the move. I think the inside is actually easier. Yeah, if you have to come off of the berm early from the inside to just get straight, like if we need to just do this. That works. The problem with the inside that makes me afraid is if you follow the line the whole himself up against the bank. And then what I watched after that is 43 almost ran into, because her head was looking right down at her front fender. Okay? Look ahead. We should be off this jump here, doing a scan of the corner. When we get to this corner, guess what I do? I look right up to halfway up that takeoff. That's how far ahead I'm looking. That way that bike can turn out of the corner the way you want it to, and you just look that far ahead right at the jump face. Second group, are we ready? All right, let's see it. A lot of sitting going on. A lot of sitting going on. Street bike knee in the corner. That was good by the Cowie, because look at the commitment he had in the turn, and then what that allowed him to do was basically roll off the throttle in the jump face and just push through it, which is exactly what you want to do.
That's my biggest problem with street bike knee.
Do you do that?
I used to race sport bike, so I can't break the habit.
I see a lot of people that do that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's out of position from the corner.
Yeah.
That jump is so far after this corner, that should never happen. That should never even be first
I saw that. It's recorded.
Wait, you were with the first group, right?
What was that?
You were with the first group.
Stand up with those little tires and loose dirt.
Huh?
Start up those little bikes, those tiny tires and that deep loose dirt.
Look, there's round one.
You just should do this. You look like you right now. Get your butt up. Good. Hold this right. What turn? Abs. Good. And then you do a push-up. You keep your abs tight. You're trying to have a flat back. See how curved your butt is and your back is? You're supposed to be completely flat. And when you go down for a push-up, everything should be flat. If you guys can't do 10 correct push-ups, you really should be learn how to do it. Of course, you go up and go high knees. I want 427, 72 this next set out. Can you go with the group one? So that way you don't have to keep dodging the little guys. 824 looks quite good. When you go around this inside corner, I think you're trying to do it standing up, aren't you? Yeah. Keep your head a little further forward. You're definitely pushing the bike away from you a bit, and it was lightening the front end, and you were losing the front end. That wasn't due to too much weight, that was too little weight. So get your head a little further forward. The jump looks great. You could go a little further if you want. You have pretty strong legs when you land, which is nice. That's what I want. Were there any other big bikes out in that group just then? Or was that it? So when I send group one right now, 427, 72, if you want to go out with them, you can. And then I'm going to take each of these KTMs and just get you in position quickly. Any questions? Commit to that turn. We're not accelerating on the jump face. We're just maintaining. Group one, space out once you get out there. Let's see it. last one, not so much, but the one I think before that was out. Which, I don't know why he's not jumping the full jump, but at least when he's doing it the way that he is, he's moving, his hips are unlocked, and the bike is just free to do what it needs to do. A lot of everybody else we're just stuck into like wooden boards in this position. So if the bike wants to kick, oh, it's kicking the whole body with you. 33, really good in this turn, but you gotta shift up to fourth before you get to that jump. Yeah. So I would almost recommend is just click to fourth in the straightaway and leave it in fourth around this turn. Because by the time you get to the bottom of the jump face, you're screaming that thing.
Yeah.
You're out of gear.
All right, here comes AJ.
You don't look anything like that. I love you, but do you think you
So
look
he's
like
talking about soaking up the jump. So bringing your arms in and letting the bike come up to your chest. And not being so stiff. So legs straight, but he brings the bike up to his chest and doesn't really bend. And then he just clears it with one hand. Jerk.
Let me get a life insurance policy on you first, please.
See how fast I can approach and yet barely catch any air and just go straight, go forward, right? It is keeping my head forward and it's allowing my whole body to absorb and let that bike work underneath me. I can do the same thing with the handoff. That speed is gained ahead of time. I'm in fourth gear instead of screaming third. And you just have to use your body and move. And that's the tough part because it's hard to do that unless you're confident, right? That's where jumping and teaching jumping is difficult because it's like, I could show you that all day long, but a not confident rider is not gonna be that loose. A not confident rider is gonna look like this, and watch how much the bike reacts.
He can do that on purpose, and that's on accident every single time for me.
See how riding that gear lower, being a little flat-footed and just being stiff at the hips, what that does to the bike, and it just makes it react and it makes your whole body react with it. So a good move for group one next time out, practice what I was just showing you, and even 99 in the Cowie is doing a great job of it. Forget trying to jump the whole distance, forget trying to get that max height or distance, just practice that soak up like you're on a BMX bike. Honestly, I think that's where I developed most of my skills is when I was your guys' age. Do you ride BMX or do you ride bicycles a lot or no? All of you little guys should be on bicycles as much as you can get on them because it's the same movements. All of it's the same. So it just teaches bike skill and how a bike will react underneath you, right? Any questions at all? Like when you guys watch that, it looks simple, right? It really is. It's very, very, the jumping is the easiest part. It just all up here.
Which curve should they be on? This upper rut or the lower rut?
I think upper or lower is fine as long as you get straight in time. The problem is everybody's kind of looking too close to their fenders, so they get lost at the end of it, and they still have to turn last second, where you can come in and make the pivot and get nice and straight from the outside or the inside. What we want to avoid is just making that weird pivot and turn as we're going out the jump face, which some of these guys still are. Any questions?
So when you're on the jump face, you're just like letting it kind of like slide up to you?
Yeah, it should feel very natural. Just let the bike come up to you. If you have to drop your heels a little less to give the rest of your bottom more flexibility, you can, because your heel drop is pretty crazy. But so is mine. I just have a lot of ankle flexibility. If you need to drop them less to allow that bike freedom, that's totally fine.
Okay.
All right, group 2, are we ready? Do you mind if I section with them for a second? Group 2, follow me.
How would your bars be?
Hey, can I swap group? Go back there for a minute?
Yeah, sure. This bike's nice. You just might have to loosen your forks and take your loosen up the whole front tire and axle and redo it. I think your forks are a little bit bound up. Maybe your front tire was put on wrong. Yeah, I don't think it's flush. It just feels like the forks are a little bound, or either that or your front brake rotor is bound. Because your front end feels a little wonky. It very well, it's critical that this is put on torque the correct way. So just tighten the axle bolt, and then push down and put pressure on the forks. And you're supposed to be contact, I forget what. And then this is like 20, 22 foot-pounds. And if those aren't all done exactly perfect, the front end will always feel just a little bit off. I'm so confused. Because in supercross, you feel, if your tire's not spinning perfectly in supercross, but that's it. I mean, that bike's great. How are we doing? Are we standing one? Flyers. Make sure before you guys even go out and free ride, come grab one of the flyers from Coach James or myself, type in that code on there, get the first month free, give it a try. Everybody in every other sport, whoever your favorite athlete is, studies footage, and they grew up studying footage. And in motocross, for some reason, people don't think that that's a thing. And it is, I promise. That's how I learned. I didn't take classes when I was a little kid. My dad would flick on Terra Firma or Crusty Demons or Steel Roots or Bar to Bar, and I would just watch it. And I wanted to look like Jeremy McGrath and Kevin Windham. And that's kind of what I ended up looking like. I ride very vertical, I ride very over the front with my upper body, and then as time went on, I would pick different guys to try and look like. Now it's Jet and Chase, and I already kind of rode like them at that point anyways. And I just do nothing but study it. My dad would put it on while I go to sleep at night, and it would just be going while I was sleeping. Go inside the app, watch it for 5-10 minutes a day. Watch it when you wake up in the morning, watch it right before you go to bed at night. I am telling you, you will start, 2 months will go by, and all of a sudden you will be a different rider, and you'll look around and be like, wow, what the heck, how did that happen? You guys could go a whole off season. Where we're from, I'm from Connecticut, he's from Rhode Island. I used to have 6 months of off season, and then I would come back after that off season. You could be a better rider in that off time. If you guys get hurt, study footage like crazy when you're off the bike, so when you get back on, you can be a new, improved rider.
Not bad. I wish I had more time to do jumping stuff, but it is what it is.